Hey guys, don't worry, cause Kramak gon' fix it. Well, wait, except he's not, cause yeah, I forgot Oculus and all that shit. Yeah, sorry, he's not. He's not gonna fix it. Not this time. How's it going everyone? My name is MindBlank and welcome back to my channel where today I decided to see what it actually takes to run the new Doom on the PC at the same IQ, image quality and performance level you get on the consoles. That's PS4 and Xbox One obviously. And boy, did I find out that it's a very weird, very strange one. Why do I say that? Well, it's because the entry-level enthusiast cards, the GTX 750 Ti, its AMD equivalent, the Radeon 270, the mobile world equivalent, the 960M and the 860M, perform way below what you get on the Xbox One and the PS4. As you know, Doom on the PS4 is targeted to be the prettiest 1080p 60 FPS game, and it achieves this. Even on Xbox One, although it does spend most of its time south of 1080p, so around 900p, with heavy scenes dipping to 720p. I say dipping because the new engine, Tech6, is a very smart engine and very scalable, and it actually drops resolution as well as settings on the fly in order to achieve that 60 FPS goal on the consoles. I went ahead and tested this with the GTX 960M on the laptop. So I tried medium settings at first and the performance was very far away from even the Xbox One levels. So then I matched it up with Xbox One levels, meaning 900p, but I kept it 1080p and used the resolution slider, adjusted it to 80%, essentially 900p. Same settings as Xbox One and PS4, and it's pretty far away of 60 FPS that you get on the consoles. And of course this was while being overclocked. I then tested it on the GTX 750 Ti, and much to my surprise, it actually performed significantly better than it did on the 960. Much to my surprise, because we are talking about the absolute same cards. The GTX 750 Ti is the same card as the 860M or the 960M. It's actually 15 to 20% faster, of course tested at the same clocks and GPU and memory clocks and settings. In the very brief moments that Afterburner actually worked, I did see the average GPU utilization on the laptop, on the 960M, was around 85 to 88%. At first, I thought the CPU might be bottlenecking in this game, which is very weird, the CPU being an i7 bottlenecking the 960M. But I did up the frequency to about 3.6 GHz. First test was at 2.9, so 700 more megahertz. Performance was absolutely the same, so GPU utilization did not go above that average of 85-88. I don't know what the issue is. I did test a lot of drivers, I did a clean install, I reinstalled Doom, the same performance. I don't know what's going on. On the 750 Ti, it's locked at 99%, it performs that 15 to 20% better. However, still far away of what you can get on the consoles. So a little bit disappointed here, because of course, as everyone, I did expect the same performance that you get on the consoles, with maybe even higher settings, a little bit higher settings, as is usually the case. But no, this time apparently no, you have to stick to, if you're happy with around 45 FPS, or just lock it at 30 FPS and you're good to go. So at first I tested the 960M with what I think are the optimal settings, the optimal settings for around 45 to 50 FPS average frame rates. Then I tested the GTX 960M against the 750 Ti, so you can see for yourself that performance difference that I observed. Then I wanted to see what was the minimum card that you can buy and actually run Doom at 1080p at 60 FPS with, let's say, ultra settings. and that was the GTX 960. I did keep shadows on high, not on ultra, because they actually eat up a lot of performance and there is no discernible difference in quality. So with everything on ultra but shadows on high, you are looking at around a locked 60 FPS with maybe dips into the 55, 57, 58 frames per second in heavy firefights. So like I said, I know I'm repeating, a little bit disappointed, but I want you to see what I think are the optimal results for the settings for 960M. Let's get going. Let's see what we're talking about here. So GTX 960M video settings 1080p. I'm using TSSAA, which is very nice and low cost. The resolution scale, that's 80%, so 900p in reality. Rest of the settings high or medium. You don't benefit a lot from turning things off or using low settings, except for really making your stuff look actually horrible, especially if you turn off shadows or some other settings that make the game look like Doom 3. So you can see the frame rate. Right now we're around 45 to 50 frames per second, so not bad, but still a far cry from that 60 FPS that the Xbox One is getting. I'm saying Xbox One because these are mainly Xbox settings. If we don't adjust the resolution scale and leave it at 100%, meaning clean 1080p, that's PS4 equivalent settings, but we're gonna be even farther away than these 45 frames per second average that we're seeing right now. So we are soon going to take a look at an outside area with a fairly large battle, and this is the worst performing area I've encountered so far in my testing with the 960M. As you can see, we're around 31, 34, 35 average frame rates, so really bad if you think about it. Also, I think this is the area in which I encountered the biggest difference in performance between this and the GTX 750 Ti. Enter GTX 750 Ti. So, same settings, same GPU clock, same memory clock. The desktop is running a Core i7-4790K at 4.7 GHz, but as I said earlier, the CPU doesn't actually matter that much, especially with these cards. We are looking at a rather large difference in performance here. I don't know if you noticed, but a few seconds ago there was a scene where the 960 was at 40 frames per second and the 750 Ti was at 60 frames per second. So that's a huge difference. I don't know. I don't know what's causing it. Maybe the drivers. I don't think it's something to do with my system. I actually did this comparison because a lot of people are complaining. Well, not exactly complaining, but were mentioning subpar, unexpected performance with the 960M. And I also saw some 750 Ti videos on YouTube and was noticing that it's giving out actually very nice frame rates. So yeah, this carried out into my testing. As you can see, we are averaging around 40 something on the 960M, while the 750 Ti is pulling mostly 55 plus 60 frames per second, and things will only get a little worse when we go back to the outside area and the large firefight. We now have the GTX 960 at the far right.
All cards are actually running the same settings, so the 960 is running Xbox One settings here. I just wanted to see what the performance was if you plan on running the same settings as the consoles with a GTX 960. And as you can see, FPS is way above 60 FPS, so that's good. Finally we have something, we have a card that can match or exceed our expectations, our 1080p console expectations. Very unsatisfactory performance from the GTX 960, and bear in mind that both the GTX 750 Ti as well as the 960M are running a 1420 MHz GPU core clock and plus 250 MHz for the memory, so they are both overclocked. Again, that huge performance difference between them. We're seeing 35 to 40 frames per second during firefights with the 960M, and the 750 Ti rarely drops below 48 frames per second. Meanwhile, the GTX 960 is way above both of them. We're looking at 90 plus frames per second in the majority of the time. We have dips into the 80s, of course. Bottom line for laptop owners with 860M or 960M, I don't know, probably there is something wrong either with the drivers or with the game. I will be retesting this once I have more information. But for every GTX 750 Ti owner, I think this is a great result for a great card. This GPU still shows it has some power in it. Now, solo testing the GTX 960, I'm keeping everything on high or ultra except shadow quality, which is set to high because ultra eats up a lot of performance. So you can say it's pretty much maxed out except for shadows. And as you can see, we're around 58 frames per second. If you add 3-4 frames per second because I recorded this with the OBS, then you're gonna be at 60 frames per second. So this is the minimum card if you wanna run Doom maxed out 1080p at an average of 60 frames per second on the PC. Everybody, I really hope you like this video. I want to hear your thoughts about the 960M and the 860M issues. I'll keep you posted, and until next time, bye bye.